Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. Read the Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, taking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. With my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's a grand slam. I'm out. Talo falava nisa Bula Vinaka, and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. On today's show, our guest is an avid traveler who loves to discover archaeological ruins and the beauty of nations around the world with her husband. She is a lover of fiction, non-fiction, and she writes short stories and poems in her free time. Her writing tends to explore issues of ordinary people in Fiji, iTaukei issues, Fijian social issues of civic responsibility, alienation, racism, gender inequality, politics, corruption, her Christian faith, and very important, education. Her debut poetry collection was released in 2022. It is my honor to welcome to the show Kelera Tuvou.
Yay!
How are you? How are you?
I am so glad, Rosa and Vinaka, everybody, and I'm so glad to be here with Reads with Rosa. I've heard so much, I've watched so much, and it's so nice to be here.
It's a blessing, Kalena. Lela, it is a blessing. I tell you, when I found out you're a teacher, I was just like, there is no way she is going to have time to come on the podcast to talk about her writing, but we are going to try anyway. So I am just so blessed that you are here to share space, to share your journey, not just as a writer, as Fijian, living abroad, but most importantly, as an educator, an IB educator at that, folks. We'll get into that later.
That's right.
But before we do begin, Lela, I'd just like to ask you just to give a brief introduction to get us going.
Yeah. Well, my name is Kelera Tuvou Ganivatu. I'm married to a wonderful man from Kandavu in Fiji. He's also a Fiji Islander. I'm a Fiji Islander. As Rosa said, thank you for the bio. Christian. I am a very fierce Pacific Islander. I'm, in very short, my paternal connection. I am from Ratambo, the western side, from Fiji. I am from Nandi. My father is from there, and I was brought up by my mother's family. Things didn't go, as life is. So I was brought up by my mother's family. My maternal connection is from Ra, which is the eastern side of Fiji, from Burewai. And so whenever a Fijian normally introduces themselves, they always say their name, their clan, and their toka or matangali, and then their village, and so forth and so forth. So I'm Kelera Tuvou again, and I am from Burewai, Nakora. My clan is Wanavatu, Yabusarewe Sabu, and I am I'm a very proud Russian girl. I am from Lao, and that's from the eastern side of the island in Fiji. And
Wow.
as you've said, we've been teaching all around the world, and just here and there we find the time to write, and we are going to talk more about that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Kelena! Where do I begin? I have an outline in front of me to my right. As you were giving your introduction, I thought, oh, we could go that way, or oh, we could go down that road. But I guess my first question is, thank you so much for just sharing your family, your lineage, your connections. I would like to know about your name. Like, what does your name mean? Like every islander, there's always some kind of meaning or story behind their name.
Yeah, for me, well, I was asking my husband, what does my name mean? So I don't think there is a meaning to my name. but I was named after my grandmother.
Ah,
Um, my father named me when I was born. And I was born in the, let me backtrack a little bit. I was born in the Northern Division in Taveuni, the Garden Island of Fiji. My grandfather took his family there. My maternal grandfather took his family there to make a new start at the copper plantation. It was there that my father met my mom. Though they parted ways, I was brought up in a very warm and loving family, loving home from my mother's family. And I was never short of aunts and uncles, as you know, the very big, Matabu Valley. And, I really love the fact that I would say I'm very privileged to be given this name. This is
mm,
my grandmother's name. She was she was a chief of her clan in back in Nandi, the western side of Fiji. She brought up my dad, and so my dad named me after her. And always everybody who knows me from Ra, and they would ask me, "You are named after who?" I said, "My grandmother." And every time when I heard the story about my grandmother, I was named after a very warm leader of her people. And with that, I would say that's probably my connection to that name. That's all there is to it. That's my Nandi connection, Nandi name. Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm curious to know about uh, is it education? Is it working as an educator? Is that what took you abroad initially? Or had you gone abroad to study? Like, where does going abroad and the writing
Yeah.
do you meet at along a path, or were you writing way before in Fiji before you left?
Exactly. So, I was brought up by my uncle, by my mother's brother, in the northern side of Fiji. He was a head teacher. I had a lot of cousins, and so they filled my world. And in there, I had a love for books, and I did not write, but I just love to read. I immersed myself in folk tales, in fairy tales, and all of these things. And so, in for a child, that kind of world really brings all this imagination to light. So I read it somewhere that a girl who loves to read will one day write books
Oh,
containing characters. And so I think it organically moved to that direction. But I'm just going to backtrack a little bit,
sure.
from my uncle. And then I moved over to my grandparents in the village, my maternal grandparents, my Mbumbu and my Now, that I talked about in my book. That I talked about in my book. And they were growing old. And so they asked my uncle, can she come back to the village? So I'm a village girl too. I spent 2 years in there, so I know all about everything, what the village setting is, what the struggle is, and all of those things. So from there, then I moved back to Suva. I was brought up by my mom's sister, older sister. In there, that's when my education took off. I passed all my secondary school studies, and then I went over to university. Thank God my mother's family really stood up. I take my hats off to my mother's family, my Matabubale at large. Without them, I don't know what would have happened. And our faith in God too over our journey really brought us through. So from university, my love for literature continued. My love for books. My family normally teases me because the books would go to the washroom. I really love a book. So, now because I'm working, I don't really have time for books that much. But that's the kind of love that people have over books. And, you're really engaged in them. So I was given a scholarship to go to USP. And from USP, I did literature and I did English and I did education. So my family, I came from a family of teachers. So it
Wow.
was just naturally that I need to I don't know what I would do after that. As an alternative, I wanted to be a biologist, but I sucked in chemistry chemistry and physics. I hated those two subjects, but I love biology. I love biology. That was because I was taught by Mrs. Balram, and she was fabulous. She was impressive. And so I was brought up in in that atmosphere of learning in USB. In there, I would go to um, uh, literary gatherings, literary festival, dramatic production. Ian Gaskell, say for example, and then you have Superman, Satendranandan, and all of these writers. And
Wow.
I think from there, when you really bask under their, Kanai Halithaman, Kanai Halithaman, when you're really in that kind of environment, it never leaves you. Yeah, it never leaves you.
Mm.
So from there, it was naturally that I had to be a teacher. So I there was no school in Suva, so they said, okay, you have to go far away. So in the western side, so I went to Lotoka and I taught there in one of these fabulous schools. Well, anyway, I attended a secondary school in Suva, Dudley High School. I love that school because the library was fabulous. And then I went over to Natambua and I taught there for 8 years. From there, I continued my education, postgrad literature and all. And, I got to really interact with all these writers, Satyendra Nandan, with their postgrad, and Subramani. And all of these people really sort of planted a seed in my life. At
Mm.
that time I was writing, but not really writing. When I'm in the mood, then I write. But I collected some of these things, and I started writing. It was 8 years from there, in Natambo High School, and then I was offered a job at Teachers Institute for teacher trainees. So I spent 2 years in there at LTC, and then it got amalgamated. And a further 2 years down the line at Fiji National University, where I met my husband. My
Mm.
husband was a fellow brother in Christ. So from there, then he was the one. He's the international teacher. He
Ah.
he was involved in international teaching. So I got married to him, and he said, "Okay, let's pack up our bags, let's go." So
Whoa.
at the end of 2012, we were offered a job in Mexico, and for me, I said, "Okay, I'm going to follow you." So I took leave, and I went and I followed my husband, for his dreams. By that time, I realized that living Fiji was going to be indefinite. It's
Mm.
going to be indefinite, yeah. So my writing skills, I think, was really fine tuned when I left the Fijian shores. So in Mexico,
Wow.
I would say in Mexico was the place that nurtured my creative ability because I was far away from home. I mean, this is the only way I could remember my homeland.
Wow. What was it about Mexico? Was it that like distance just makes the heart fonder? You're just like
Yeah, I think
emotional, you're trying to stay connected, you're in a
yeah.
different part of the world. Is where does that nurturing come from? Or were you starting to connect with other writers
Yeah,
that you had?
I think it's more to do with the physical
Mm,
location that is a distance. It's a very very much a long way from home, but your
mm,
interior mind has been fine tuned, so to speak. And so my connection back home, because of my longing for home, really is fine tuned from there. And how you are not happy with some of the things the government were doing and all these things. So
mm,
my poems are filled with all this kind of ranting,
mm.
extension from my social media posting. It found its way to my poetry collection. But yeah, so I think it's a physical dislocation or physical location that is so far away from home. And my interior mind, I think, in that way was sort of nurtured, yeah,
Mm,
by all these words that we teach. We teach a
mm.
lot of words too in the classroom, but at the same time, those words that have been deposited in our mind through reading. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Mexico because when I was reading up or I was trying to research as much as I could about you, and then I
Yeah.
went back to your book, to your poetry collection, and then I was like, wait a minute, why does she have a Mexican? Why is the publishing company in Mexico? I was trying to. I mean, we'll talk about that some more
Yeah,
when we get to the book. But when you just mentioned, I was like, oh, okay, that's where the
okay.
Mexico connection comes. I was like, what? How on earth did she connect with the public? But I mean, this day and age, I get it, right? There's many ways we can connect with others, with companies
Yeah,
and things like that.
yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness, your story just gets more and more
Yeah, I know. I
interesting.
mean, like, you just have to stop me somewhere because I get
No,
ramble a bit.
not at all. So, you are an iTaukei
Yeah.
poet. I wanted to ask about elements of Fijian poetry.
Okay.
Are there elements of Fijian poetry that make it different from just like other styles of poetry, or is it really it's more about the expression, the way in which you're using the words? I don't know. Like, is there
Yeah.
anything different
Yeah.
or?
I don't. I think this is different because when you talk about Itakwe poetry, it's talking about the tukuni, and the tukuni is the ancient way of storytelling where goddesses and gods come through the creative, presentation of elders, creation
Mm.
stories, ancient tales. My book is not that. My
No,
book
yeah.
is a contemporary book. I think it was a gift for the children in Fiji, especially girls, young people that are growing up that need to read more into their Fijian identity, and so it's a contemporary look into the life of the ordinary people and what really surround them, what connected them, and
Mm.
the way I see it, yes, maybe in some ways I was influenced in some way, but I bring in the landscape, the Fijian landscape,
Mm.
but I did not really mirror that sort of like creation storytelling and all that to
Mm.
creative works. Yes.
Let's talk about I mean, we can come back to, I've got other sections, but we're going to go straight into the book
Okay, guys.
because I know you're hiding it right there under the screen. Let's bring it out. Let's show the world. Let's be loud and proud about this amazing collection of work that you've put out. I have questions.
Yeah.
But debut collection.
Yeah.
Well, Lela, congratulations. 2022. She
Thank
dropped
you.
her debut poetry collection. She's going to show us now.
Thank you.
Because I have just the ebook, but the real book looks better,
I
I think.
know. This is my baby for now.
I think I came across you on Twitter. I
I
mean,
think so.
I know people are calling it X right now, but I'm sorry, I'm still referring to it as Twitter. So someone had posted about it. It was
Yeah.
the cover. The cover of the book got me interested.
Yeah.
So this poetry collection is called the Peregrine Falcon's Cry. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Fam, it's so beautiful. Tell us about the cover, Lela. Tell us about that beautiful cover.
Well, this cover, I mean, okay, let me tell you about Peregrine Falcon. Okay, everybody start like asking me why Peregrine Falcon? Why Falcon? I mean, it's a bird of prey, yeah, and it's not associated with Fijian stuff. So I thought, you know what? This is all these works, all the poems in this book are the cries of my heart. It's the cries of my soul, of my heart, or whatever you call it. Yeah. So Peregrine Falcon in Fijian is called Ganivatu. So Ganivatu is my name.
Yes.
It's my marital name. And this is my husband's family name. So I adopted the family name into the title of my book because Ganivatu means Peregrine Falcon in English. So the Tangininganivatu is Tangininganivatu in Fijian, in English, Peregrine Falcon's Cry. Only a few people I could sense that they were able to connect the name to the title.
Yeah, because I saw your name and I was like, wait, is she playing? I was like, this is a trick, right? She's trying to figure out if we get it. I researched and I was like, but the fuck? I was like, Peregrine, is it what? Now you're here to tell the story. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about what should be the name.
Mm,
So I thought, no, I'm going to make use of, because I wanted like the cries of my heart. Oh no, that sounded so cliche. So I thought, why not the Peregrine Falcon's cry? And
mm,
because this is the cry of my heart,
mm,
about my homeland, about Fiji, and the things, the vices of societal vices,
mm,
corruption that was happening, and all those stuff that was happening. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna house it in a collection. But
mm.
there is the title. That's the name, the peregrine
You know
falcon.
what?
It's an extinct species in Fiji. So
Right.
yeah,
Oh my God, that is so genius. Like, honestly, I'm like so glad that you came on the show to tell, because it's just been like, it's been nagging at me like, oh, is this really the connection or am I just making it up? But
yeah, yeah. That's
oh,
the meaning. I mean, I'm a small timer, but yeah, I'm starting out. That if you talk about poets, like you got Craig Santos Perez, and you got
mm,
Halo Mila, Kanaite Haliteman, and Persantia, Francis Koya. But I'm trying, to scratch the surface.
you are stop. You are there. Man, okay, I have to tell everyone this. Okay, I've got these other questions about the collection, but can
Okay.
I just talk about
Yeah.
what is really interesting about this collection to
Yeah.
anyone's listening or watching?
Mm-hmm.
There are sections in this book. Okay,
Okay.
maybe it's not referred to as sections. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there is the challenge, the appreciation, there is the island vibes. I love
Vibes.
the island vibes. There's the breaking, there is the rising, there is the faith walk
Walk.
and the tribute.
Yeah.
So can you tell us
Mhm.
why I mean, I still can't get past the cries of my heart. Sorry, I know you said it was cliche, tears in
Yeah.
my heart.
I
But
do.
it's right here. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling that. Tell
Yeah.
us about why you
Yeah.
structured the collection like that.
I decided to put it on the collection. For story collectors, for poetry collectors out there,
Mm,
those who are writing poems. I wanted to put it, section it into themes, and so
mm,
to sort of let the poems speak to each other, so to speak to each other and speak to one another under a theme. So that's why the themes came. The
mm,
chapter is talking about the Pacific. I mean, our place in the Pacific. Where are we in all this place of modernity, modernization, westernization, and then the appreciation. I
mm,
decided, okay, I'm going to shout out to some people. So I really love this lady, Tarisi Sorovi. Wunindilo, she's been making waves. She's just been consistent. Um,
mm,
and so the people that really, really had impacted me in some way. So my appreciation. And then I really wanted to put it under like sort of like a negative,
mm.
positive, and rise, like
Ah,
Peregrine Falcon, from
yes,
there.
I
And
get
so,
it.
yeah, and also like I wanted to include it, like the faith walk and my island
Mm,
upbringing, and the tributes. It's a very special section of my heart, because those are
mm,
tributes to my deceased mother's family. Those have really touched my heart, and they're here.
mm,
There are people who really had seeded their love into my life. So those are why I decided.
mm.
It's more to do with the section, and putting it all together into manageable things. Man.
And
Yeah,
since you've got your book there, I wanted to ask you
yeah,
if you could please read. um,
yeah.
there's the poem on words and thoughts in the breaking section.
Okay, the
I was
break
wondering if you
is
could read that just for the listeners and
okay.
speak a little bit on that.
On the breaking, yeah. Even I
Mm.
myself, like I I kind of like published this 1 year ago, and I don't know even the sections.
That's okay.
Yeah, page 91. Okay. Okay, on words and thoughts.
Mm.
Okay. Words are more lethal than AK-47. Bullets kills instantly, alive snuffed out. I am alive with this reality built on words. from careless vibes or intentional worlds. If you say she is ulukau, she will be. If you say he is a madawa, he will be like a good for nothing. Words are arrowed intentions, always finds its mark in this emptiness with dead set missile precision. But thoughts are more dangerous. More battles are won in the mind before we see it. More wars are defeated in the mind. I slice people with invisible knives. A merciless sadist rain down revenge, or a magician wielding things to happen, or speak words with daggers of truth, so crystal clear that it glitters. Alas, I have no guts. My world is fascinating in my thoughts. I mince my world with fire, or work and roll it with sushi finesse. This imaginary woven imbe mats of dreams, a grand cloud of expectations where everything smells so clean and filled with promises, rather than come back here on this earth where hustle is everything, where objectives are worked into reality, pulsating, living truly.
Wow. And honestly, I was reading it aloud to myself, and then I was like, nah, nah, nah. Leila does it best. I'm glad you brought your book, and I'm glad I asked you to read it because you did such a good job. Tell
No,
us.
but I really like the fact that readers take my work and they do their own thing because now they take ownership of that work. And the kind of like interpretation that some of the readers have come back to me and say, "Oh, it was so and so to me," and I said, "Wow." And that's why writers, you are needed.
Tell us about on words and thoughts. When you talk about the sections and how there's the rise, where does on words and thoughts sit on that progression table?
Yeah.
On that timeline?
On the regression table,
Mm,
I think I put it on the breaking because some of us, let's face it, some of us really don't know the power of words and the power of words and how words can be influential. And many of us are using words in the wrong way. And,
mm,
and so they're using words, with this kind of intention to downtrodden people,
mm.
little people. And so I could have used it for the other section of rise, but
Right.
the minute people really understand that the words build up their reality after today, if they speak some words
Mm,
today, like 10 years later, that word will come back to haunt them. I
mm,
really that those words, if you know how to use it, if you don't, it will be little
mm.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think when I read that, I was thinking from a teacher perspective, which is why I
Mhm.
wanted you to read it, because
Wow.
it's what you said about the power of words, and that, like, it just made me think about, on those days when you're just really tired, it's been a long day, uh, things aren't going, it's just a
Mhm.
lesson is going from bad to worse. You
Oh,
had overplanned, you had done everything, you thought you did it right, but things are just going downhill.
yeah,
And that, that anger
yeah. Oh,
festering away, the frustration because of the exhaustion, no excuses, but it made me think about teacher life. And
yeah.
that's why I wanted you to read it. I was like the breaking, and then I was like, but would it, yeah, the rising, wouldn't it be? But then now
Yeah,
that you're talking about it, I'm like, oh no, I
yeah,
get why you put it there. And
yeah,
just
yeah,
most importantly is the power of words, and
yeah.
they can either uplift and
Yeah,
encourage.
a lot of people they just cuss, they cuss people, they cuss their children, and
Mm,
we are teachers, right? We see those children every day, and a lot
mm,
of them are products from home that do not really know how to use words and
mm,
how to use words and to bless their children and to guide and instruct them. But you know how it is, how some parents are.
mm.
Some are doing that, but some are not. So
Mm,
I wrote that as sort of like a wake up call.
right, right.
You can break really. I understand that. You can break someone's reality with
Mm,
words.
You know the poem in Island Vibes that indigenize me? You
Oh,
know
yeah.
that poem, like, is that a poem that you wrote recently? I was wondering about the collection. Is it a
Okay.
collection that you built up over the years and then you were finally in a
Mm-hmm.
good place where you said, you know what, it's God's timing, now is the time? Because I was wondering about that indigenize me because it's the
Mm-hmm.
Island Vibes. And
Okay.
did you rework that a lot of times? I mean, because now you live abroad, has your obviously your worldview and
Yeah.
perspective has broadened so much. But then
So, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you would like to read it, you can, but you don't have to. But we can talk about it. We can talk about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Indigenize Me is one of my oldest poems. I mean,
Ah,
I wrote it in 20, I think I wrote it in 2012 or
oh
2013.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I worked a
Wow.
little bit of lines over there, but
Right.
the original lines, it was
Mm,
really it was really a cry of my heart, as so to speak. The
mm,
original lines was very raw, and so it was a space in my life, a time in my life where things were just going bad towards in the government, and
mm,
I had some family members who were laid off from work because they spoke out against the government and they
mm,
resist. And so they did a lot of things. They spoke out the truth, and because of that, I a lot of things were happening in the government at that time that were turning against the will, right, so to speak. So
mm,
I wrote that in a moment of anguish, yeah, and it's sort of like a loss. It seems like our place as indigenous people were like seriously coming into question, at that
mm,
time. And so I wrote that, so sort of like to affirm me and my place in the society, because I cannot be someone, I cannot be Tongan, I cannot be Mexican or, American. I am Fijian. I am a Fiji Islander.
mm,
I will always be a Fiji Islander to my grave.
mm,
That was how people, a certain individual sort of instigated the fact, they came up with so many decrees and so many laws in a nation to
mm,
work out the definition of things. So it's like an anger, yeah, angry
mm.
poem.
Yeah,
But
in
yeah,
reflection, now 2023, does
yeah.
what has changed for you? Like, if you were to write, say, an extension of that poem, do you see that a lot of that angst and those thoughts you had in 2012, do you feel like you're now in a place where you can reflect and write part
Mhm.
two? Or, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel that things
Mhm.
have changed, especially, you know, staying connected to your homeland, but being
Yeah.
living abroad and things like that? Like,
Mhm.
mm,
I don't think I would want to change a thing in
mm,
there. I would, I'd leave it as it is, as sort of like a reminder of our heritage. Even
mm,
though I'm a Christian, I'm still a Fiji Islander at the end of the day. And even though I've traveled so many nations and seen so many people, and I think what connected us is our sense of humanity, but also
mm,
for the fact that we need to know where we are, where we come from. Who are you?
mm,
How people like, who are you? How
mm,
people use that question and they really want to ask you, I mean, where do you come from? And
mm,
who do you represent? So I wouldn't, change a thing, because right now there's a lot of talk on the lands and everything that were done in previous government. Even though the government has changed,
mm,
it's we could see that the change is going to take slowly. It's going to be a slow process. Yeah.
mm. The whole collection, I mean, there is just so many gems in this collection. Fam, okay, let's have a bit of an ad break here and just say you
Yeah.
can check the bio of this interview. Uh, check the bio. The link is there. Purchase the book. I always talk on here about how we can support our writers. How can we support
Mhm.
our authors? How can we support our poets, our creatives? So, fam, if you know that you want to support, follow on social media, or even purchase. You can get the ebook, you can purchase the physical book. Um,
Thank
you will not regret it. Trust me. So click the link in the bio and, help an author, a writer, help one of our own out.
you.
That's seriously, you are not going to regret it. I was wondering, Lela, what are some of your favorites, or is there like that one favorite? It must be hard to choose
Yeah,
a favorite.
it is. It is hard, but yeah, I have
Mm,
some favorites.
mm,
I really like Indigenize Me. That's one
mm,
of my all-time favorite. I think
yes.
maybe because you're under that, that angst, and because it took a. I know that I expressed myself in a very simple term, but there were lots of things going on in
Mm,
there. And then there's another one, which is probably my last poem, Lingering
mm,
Sandalwood. My last poem is Lingering Sandalwood.
mm,
In Fijian, it's called Yasimboyawa. It's more like sort of a prayer about what you do here in this world. Like, you know, we are not here just to breathe and just to be born and die, but hopefully we can leave something behind. And this is my leaving behind legacy for
yes.
for the women and for the children, especially. I mean, we are educators for the
Mm,
children. I did this for the young people. And
mm,
even if the adults are not buying the book, I do, that's beside the point. But I did this because I knew there was uh, there was not enough literature by iTaukei writers uh,
mm,
in the literary canon. So this was my way. I mean, I I was very much involved in the literature department back in Fiji, but I realized that there's not many books written by Fijian writers, by iTaukei. By Fijian, I mean
mm,
indigenous writers. And I thought, why not? I'm going to contribute in some way about this. And that's why I take my hats off to Samoan writers, to Tongan writers, to Cook Island writers, Hawaiian, but
mm.
especially Samoan, like, Albert Wendt and everybody has really put their name out there, and people know their works. But, we are really facing a sort of battling a wave here, a wave
Mm.
of non-readers. But if people like to read, people like to buy the works, and at the end of the day, I cannot put this out on free. I mean,
Yes.
it's a
No,
literary
and
work.
no, this is part of the advocacy that we have, for the podcast, is to reach out. I try my best to reach out to authors, to our own, to women, just to amplify your voices. Not only are you doing it, thank you, Lela, for saying yes, I'm going to put this collection out there. Like you said, there are not many iTaukei poets, so
Yeah,
we needed this
yeah,
collection.
we
Those
need,
young
right.
people, those young folks back in Fiji, they need your
Yeah,
collection. So um
thank you.
I'm excited because this is your debut collection. When I tell
Yeah,
you, fam, if you're listening, there are so many gems. There's not one type of poem in there. Everyone is going to be able to find something that
yeah, right.
resonates. I'm not
Mm,
Fijian, but when I read some of the poems, I was like, oh my gosh, that's speaking to me. Like, I really felt it, and that indigenized me. It was like I had
yeah,
to ask, because I was just like, oh man, I know there's a deeper story here. I have to,
yeah.
but there are many elements to the different poems in your collection that I just feel, as islanders, as Pacific peoples, um trust
Yeah.
me, something will resonate, something will speak to you.
Mhm.
So don't forget to click the bio. No one's rich and making a lot of money off these books. We have our independent
You know,
writers who are just out there.
Exactly. I want to say something about that. I mean, I didn't
Mm,
make money out of this. If
mm.
people think, oh, she's making money, no, there's no money in writing.
She's living in
That's
a mansion. No, fam, she is not. She is working, hard-working educator. Are you listening? Hard-working educator.
there's a reason why writers really maintain their day job, because
Mm-hmm.
this does not look after our needs, our
Mm,
expenses. So we get to keep our day job to sort of
Yes.
fuel our creativity on the side. So I'm so glad I did this.
You know, there's in the appreciation section of your
Yeah.
collection, you speak about Konai. Like, I was wondering if you could just mention that, because I read
Yeah.
that you were inspired as a high schooler, and then
Mhm.
now, as an adult, you're putting out this collection, and wow, how exciting is that?
That is,
Just
that
where,
is so
man.
true. That is so true. Can I help with name? And wow,
Mm,
when I was in Form 7,
mm,
I was Form 7 at that time. I I did poetry in part of my section. So yeah, I think it was Island Fire or You, the Choice of My Parents, something to do.
mm,
But can I help them? And wow, she really touched students from Fiji, especially with her
mm,
words, with her writing. And I'm so glad, we read her work, and in so many ways, I think she influenced a lot of writers, especially people out there, because these are the people first on the field. I mean, we're
mm.
just standing on their shoulders, but they were there, and I'm so glad. I take my hats off to them.
Hats off, hats off. Do your colleagues know that you're a published writer,
Mm.
that you're this poet? Like, you write. Oh, it was funny because when I was reading your bio, and it's like, in your free time you write short stories and poetry, and I thought that was hilarious. So, not no disrespect, but I was like, okay, first of all, Lela, when do you get free time? You're an educator. What are you talking about? You have free time. I was like, let me wait till I chat to you face to face, and I'm gonna hit you up about it and ask you, Lela, where do you get free time to actually do
Exactly.
this? And do they know that you are a published author poet?
Yeah. I from Mexico. I went over to we traveled to Albania. We got the teaching placement in
Mm,
there, the postings in Albania, and so from there, then they sort of like a word by mouth, word of mouth. So we when we left the place, I gifted them the book. Oh, so you're a published author. So, in that, then they realized that. I said, yeah, you kind of like
yeah.
downplay yourself. That, yeah, just like some little things about from my heart.
Some
So,
little things, and it's a collection this thick, everyone. This thick. It's not a little thing.
so when I came here in Estonia, the starting of the work term, before work started, we had the
Mm,
IB workshop, and so the facilitator asked, "Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you? There's something about you that really you did, and you want everybody." So I said to my husband, he's also a teacher, so I'm going to talk about my book. Yes,
okay.
I mean, I always put this like, we are not very good book marketers, book campaigners, and
Mm,
especially if you write, and you just put it away. I did all that, and I introduced that to the world, and this IB workshop leader asked me. I said, "Wow, you wrote a book. When do you find the time?" I said, "I make the time because this is my hobby.
mm,
This is the work for my heart. So always
mm.
I make the time. Maybe I don't get the time in grading and all that, but I make the time to balance out. It's just, terms of balancing your schedule, yeah, because we are very at the end of the day we're so tired, we
Yes.
don't have time, we're expired in our creativity, but at the end of the day, if you get a time, just put it aside so that you can write
Mm.
something creative. Yeah. And so at
Trust
the
me,
end of the
everyone.
day, so they were all like surprised. They're so
Mm.
surprised that yeah, you can find it on Amazon, it's there.
You're like, it's just a little something on Amazon. Oh
I
my
don't
goodness.
know how to market myself. I mean, at the end of the day, I just market myself actively on Facebook, but Twitter and Instagram, I'm virtually non-existent. I just share stuff and nothing else.
Man,
Yeah.
are you part of the ELOC organization? Do you know about that?
No.
Okay, when we finish this, I am going on Twitter and I'm just gonna be like, "Hey, Elok fam, everyone, go buy this book because they have a space which I went to once and I didn't go again. It's for AAPI,
Okay.
Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and there I
Yes,
went.
yes.
I found I was really overwhelmed, so I didn't go again. But now I'm just like, I'm going to put you on blast.
Oh,
That's what I'm going
thank
to
you.
do. I need to think about it, put a post together, and I'm just going to be like, link that because that's the organization is always, promoting books, obviously the whole, this being a IB educator, the whole
I
DEIJ,
do. Yeah.
the buzzwords and things. They're always pushing those books. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, here's a poetry collection, beautiful. And what's the
Hmm.
bit? Half of them, maybe the only thing they've heard about Fiji is the Fiji water, but we're not going to
Fiji
talk about
water.
that. Do you
Yeah.
know what I
And
mean?
Fiji
So,
coffee.
yeah, I'm like, hello, this collection should be one of the books they're promoting. It's such a important
Yeah.
educational resource. So
Thank you.
I'm gonna work on that. Just a thought as we were talking there.
Thank you so
I
much, Bula.
No problem. I want
Mm,
to ask you while we've still got the book there is for those who are listening or watching, the book is not only beautiful on the cover, but the sections at the beginning of each section or the thematic sections, there is a piece of artwork. Can
Oh,
you please tell us about Natalie Dickinson?
yes.
There's a piece of artwork
Natalie.
that
Okay.
appears. Yes.
I gotta shout out to my girl.
Yay.
Hey, Natalie is British, and she's a watercolor. She is, I
Mm.
don't know what I can say this, but she's a watercolor artist. She's also a teacher. She was teaching with me in Merida in Mexico.
Ah.
So I said, "Wow, Natalie, I love your drawing. You can draw." So from all of the teachers out there, I think I was. Very much buying her artwork because I love her artwork. And I said, wow, this is really fabulous. So I asked her, why, if she can, draw something about a Fijian lady because she is an illustrator or an artist. So she says, looking down, meditative pose, and surrounded by flowers.
Mm.
And I said, can you do something like that for me, Natalie? And can you illustrate the starting of my themes? And she said, yeah, I can do that. I can, anything is possible. So she started doing this. So I'm looking forward to further collaboration with her for my children's book. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But I love her work. She's very much a um, I love this.
Mm. See,
So,
we want
so
to shout out Natalie.
shout
Big
out
shout
to
out to
Natalie.
Natalie.
Yeah, and so I said, Natalie, I'm gonna pay for this, but can you give me permission to use your artistic works here because those
Mm.
are artistic rights, right? So she says, yeah, by all means, you can use it. So I used it in my work, in
Yeah.
my book, and I made sure that it is colored so people can see.
Yes.
Yeah, but
So important. That's the first thing I know. I mean, okay, I noticed the sections and then I stopped. I was like,
yeah,
wait a minute, there's artwork. Then I saw the name. I was like, right, we're adding that to the outline. We need to shout out this person who now we
of
know is an
course.
educator,
Yeah.
Natalie.
Yeah, she's she's very much a creative person, just like me.
Mm,
And she's married to a Mexican, and
mm.
she's continuing to do. I think I will also link her artwork or page with you. I will share
Yes,
her page.
absolutely. Please do send it through. Let's stick it
Yeah,
in the bio so people can connect not
yeah,
only with Lela, but her amazing artist friend Natalie.
yes,
So check it
Natalie.
out, fam. I was wondering, so the book is available on Amazon. Check the bio for the link.
Yeah.
Is your book available, anywhere else in the Pacific or
Mhm.
and do you know if it's available like in New Zealand in a bookshop or, like,
Yeah. The thing is, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I put this
mm,
book on Amazon, right? I put
mm,
this book on Amazon. I haven't been able to make money from Amazon.
right. Everyone talks about that. No one makes money from Amazon.
No
Everyone, are you listening?
one, So the thing is, Amazon is a giant. It's a monstrous
Mm,
giant that eats your money and your sweat and your creativity
mm,
and everything. So because I printed it like with colored pages and everything, so whenever a person, I just want to tell this to the people who bought my books. Whenever you buy the book, Amazon will take their cut and I
mm.
will take the rest, which is really peanuts. So
Yeah.
I'll take the rest. And right now, I'm still waiting for my book royalty. I'll chase after them again.
Mm,
But I'm looking at a chance to self-distribute, and also I distributed this book in Fiji.
oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, in Fiji. So I distributed that. I came over to Albania. We had it published by an Albanian company. And when you get the feel of the book at the first time,
Mm.
you sort of like feel the velvety touch of the book. I said, "Oh my goodness!" So this is how they feel. The writers, they feel like, so everybody was teary. Me and my husband on that day, and
Mm,
I said, "Oh, it really feels good." All
mm,
that sweat and so we shipped off like 2 cartons, I think, over to Fiji. It cost a little bit of money. Of course, it costs money to ship anything out
mm,
there, and so my aunt is distributing in Fiji. So if anybody asks me online, from Facebook
mm,
Messenger and all those places, I'll get their contact numbers, and I post the book to them. But in I very interesting because I had a look at Wheeler's bookshop,
right, right.
and they were selling this book for astronomical
Mm.
price. And I was just wondering, maybe they bought it from Amazon and then they sell it the New Zealand price, because that price, I would not price that book that
Oh
high.
my goodness.
And so I don't have a distributor in New Zealand, but I
Mm,
do have a friend who took some books over to Vanuatu, like about 5 or 7 books. And
mm,
everybody from Vanuatu loved the artwork, loved the
mm,
poem, and they snapped it up. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I need to take the books over to
mm.
Vanuatu, and maybe in other places around the Pacific Islands." But I need to get to Fiji and the Pacific in order to do
Right.
that, because right now I'm in Europe and
Yeah.
work and everything. So maybe next year we'll see.
If we have any Pacific, distributors,
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, I mean, we know there are some out there. Please
Okay.
get in touch with Lela, with Kelera, and it's going to be worth it's going to be worth the investment. That's all I'm saying.
Thank-
If you're listening, I know we have followers and
Yeah.
subscribers from all over the world, but especially out in the southern hemisphere and Australia, New Zealand. So, fam, if
Yeah.
you can connect Lela, we've got some up and coming distributors. Like, let's get you connected, because it's
Yeah.
such an important piece of
I,
literature. We
I
need
want
to get it out there.
Yeah, I wanted to share because my mom is in Wellington, so I might visit her too, maybe next year. So I'll
You
take
should
some
do
photos,
it.
and I will connect. Maybe, thank you for saying that. Maybe I can
Mm.
connect to some publishers over there with
Yeah, you should connect
people.
with Dalia Malay Ulu, Mila's
Yeah,
books. If you
Miller's
follow her
books.
on Twitter,
Yes. Yeah,
and
they are doing
see,
wonderful works.
yeah, there's Salfoi, there are other small independent distributor companies over in New Zealand. I think,
Yeah.
let me find a list and get you connected. I mean, it's the only way we know. And these people, trust me, if you're listening or watching, you're missing out. Like, you're going to be going back and reading it. You're going to be curious. And that's what it is, right? We want to highlight and advocate for our writers. As Lela has shared, it's her heart on paper. It's a bit of her history. It's her people. Um, it's her family. It's storytelling, and it's years of work. It's a culmination of that blood, sweat, and tears. I know people are going to be like, "Well, that's a bit dramatic, Rosa," but I'm not. I'm not being dramatic. What I'm saying is, it's the reality for our islander,
Yeah.
our Pacific women, our writers who are trying to get their work out there, on their own. At
Yeah.
paying for it out of their own pockets. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what we can do, is just to support that, and hopefully, make some connections there so we can get more of our writers recognized and getting those books out to the people who need to be reading it. Not just islanders, by the way, as well, guys. Everyone, anyone.
Anyone. Yeah. In addition to that, I'm just a shout out to everybody who ordered for the books and who did a blurb and,
Mm,
stuff like that, a short review. Thank you very much for buying this book, maybe on Amazon or maybe from Fiji, from my aunt, because my aunt distributes this book
mm,
locally, and my sister-in-law. Uh, but what I wanted to say here is, I did this not for the money.
mm.
I it was a work from the heart. It's a labor of love, and so I told my husband, we are doing this for the passion. I wanted to prove to myself, okay, I can do this.
You can do it. You did it. You did it. Lela,
And
you did it.
yeah, it is done, and it's out there into the world. I mean, if people would like to critique about it,
Yeah.
be my guest. But I'm so glad it has gone out, and this is the
Mm.
first of many. So
Yes, that
yeah,
that that right there. I was waiting for you to say that. I was like, I'm not going to pressure her to say anything she doesn't want to say, but you said it, Lela. That's it. That's what we want to hear. For the first of many. What advice do you have for young writers, or just any up and come? It doesn't even have to be young. What do you want to say to those who have a passion for writing?
for the upcoming writers or out there, because we writers, we like to write in the silence. We like to write
Mm,
secretly, and we are very, very shy to share our work here and there. So do the best you can. Do the
mm,
best you can when you can and while you can. Remember, you got only one life, and
mm,
this is the only time for you to do this. And we don't know what our tomorrow will be, because we
mm,
don't know how. And you are here today and gone tomorrow, but we don't know when is our exit date from this
mm,
earth. So for the time being, you do the best you can, and whatever dreams you have, do it,
mm,
fulfill it while you're still alive. And do the work you do from a space of love. I love what Taylor said during your podcast. Do from a space of love. When you love what you do,
mm.
uh, you're not doing things for money. You're not doing
Right,
things for this and that. If you're doing things for money, forget about it. You're not
right.
going to make any money with
Literally
writing.
through Amazon, just saying. Just quietly. Sorry, quietly. We're not promoting Amazon. Just saying. We're promoting the book. Anyways, carry on, Lila. Carry
I
on.
know, and for as a Christian, I always say this: put God first, always in
Mm,
your life, and make decisions. And you will never be lost. You will always be at the center of His will. So that's
mm,
all. And you can do it. I mean, you don't have to let anybody tell you you cannot write, you cannot speak, you cannot do anything, because
mm.
you got it in you. Bring it out and bring it on. Yeah.
You heard it here. Bring it out and bring it on. That straight from Lila. Straight from Lila right here this evening. Afternoon for her. I want to go back to Mexico. Let's take
Okay.
it back to Mexico and the
I think you're
publishing
gonna like
company.
run.
Let's. I mentioned this at the beginning when I heard Lela mention Mexico, and I thought, that is the publishing company.
We put our names in there as
Ah,
more like, because we published this book from our own pocket, right?
right. There we go.
So we actually came up with a company name, and we just put it Duckstone.
And see, this is why I had to get Lela on here, because when I was doing research, I was like, there are pockets of things missing. I need her on the show to
Yes,
fill in the missing gaps. And when I was like, Duckstone, looking, and I was like, huh? Okay. But now the truth comes out. Okay, that's just what we
yeah,
do. It's what we do, isn't it, Lela?
exactly. I wanted to also I wanted to also share here. I mean, we don't need to wait for, if you got the money, I mean,
Mm,
be my guest. Do anything that makes it possible. Make it happen. Make it happen. Um, and if you can do it, do it. You don't have to wait for a publisher. You can do this by yourself. I learned this every step of the way, from phase 1 to phase 10. And
mm,
thank God, when I came over to Albania, we did a publishing of this book, and I got to see the processes, how it went through the printery and
mm,
everything. And I said, wow, this is a very big process in just bringing out a baby into
mm.
the world. So yeah, that's the public publisher's name. So it's
There
more
you go. There you go. I'm gonna say again, purchase the book, fam. Support it. You can get the physical
publishing.
copy. You can get an ebook. Um, I was wondering about. You mentioned, you have a children's book. Is that a secret? Oh, oops. You
Yeah,
mentioned, is that your next project? Is that something you're working towards?
yeah. I mean, in between my next project, because my next project will be a collection of short stories. I finished that
Ooh.
collection of short stories. I finished it, but I just feel that it's not ready for the world yet. I mean, I
Mm,
need to do a lot of heavy editing in,
mm,
in the stories, but the story's title is Beyond the Sand and Smiles. Beyond
mm,
the Sand and Smiles. So the story is especially on Fiji, and it's a look beyond the tourism pamphlets, a look beyond the Bula smiles, a look beyond the sandy beach.
mm.
It's more like a critical look at our culture. It's not only a critical look, but it's also a celebration of our culture. So I've got it all in that collection, but I'm biding my time. I'm stalling. So maybe next year, I would publish that book.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the short stories, but you know what? You just take your time. We're
Yeah.
not rushing you. We are definitely not rushing you here, but it's exciting, especially for those who are already following Lela on social media. I mean, we've got lots to look forward to. And then the children's book you mentioned, I mean,
Yes.
um, I wanted to know because when I found out you're an educator as well, I was like, oh, I wonder if
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of like picture books and things like that. Picture books are not just for like little kids, but I was wondering, yeah, like is it going to be like a picture book? Is that what you're thinking or working towards, or is it more like a realistic fiction or a novel?
I would like to start because now when I came to Estonia, I'm teaching middle schoolers. I'm
Mm,
teaching grade 7, grade 8, and also grade 6. So they also gave me because the librarian went on her maternity leave. So
mm.
now I'm in charge of the library.
Oh
So
my
the
gosh, cool.
for primary school students. So I'm surrounded by all these children's books, and
Mm.
every day I'm surrounded by these books. And I said, "Wow, I can do this." So
That's the
I'm,
inspiration you need.
and it
I'm
seems like
saying
it's a divine call. I told my husband,
yes.
I believe that God is putting me here for something. So I'm thinking of something Fijian, telling adult themes in children's language with kiddies' character and all
Oh, I
that. So
love that.
we'll start with picture book first, and then I'll graduate from there. Yeah.
I'm already a fan. Fan again. I'm already a fan again because she said
Thank
picture books.
you.
That is exciting. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned middle school teaching. What would I hear or see in your classroom if I was a fly on the wall?
Um, if you were a fly on the wall, yeah. I love your interview with Vani, and I'm like Vani. I honor children's voices in my
Mm,
classroom as long as they know their boundary of respect and tone and language. And as educators, you need to teach children how to behave,
mm,
how to talk decent language, how to do things in your classroom, because you can never assume that they know all these things, because they
yeah,
will try you. Yeah. So
yeah.
you're an educator, Rosa, and you will know. But I'd like to have a lesson that is planned out
Mm,
in advance. Not only that, but I also like to be spontaneous, organically
mm,
feeding in on the things that children are doing. I like to involve a lot of technology in my classes. We right now in my grade 6, we are doing film and storytelling, the Pixar
oh,
unit, and they love it. They just love it. They're going to do film storyboarding. So I really am taking my writer's hat and bringing
yes.
it into the classroom. I mean, they're not all there in their writing skills. I know.
Mm,
But I'm going to guide them through the editing process. And this is something that have really, really, I every day I'm talking to my husband. I said, I love today. I love today. And the children did this. And, so every day it's more like an exciting day. It's not boring. It's not the same. So you could either be there and today you're going to be really down the scale. And then tomorrow it's more like I love my classroom to be because I teach them English. So I need them to talk. They cannot be quiet in my classroom. So I pointedly, I point out questions. I prepare questions for them. And then I just say, go. So they go around like one by one. But I really had to teach them from day one how to talk because some of them really did not know the classroom dynamics, the classroom form, the classroom routine. So we had to go about doing that again before. So now I'm looking forward to the assessment. So now it's I cannot read right now. I cannot write because I'm doing a lot of grading.
You're being a teacher. So when you say free time, I just still do not believe you. I'm like, Lela, stop. You do not have free time. What are you talking about, woman? I want to shout out, Lela mentioned Vani. I mean, bless her heart.
Yes.
Yes, Vani, also part of the Reads of Rosa podcast family. Again, I also met her, like when I found out she was also an IB educator, we just do not see many, island women, people from, I was just like, what? Then I found out you, and I was like, what? There are more of us out there. So it's such an honor to have both of you on the show to share your experiences. These are stories that need to be heard, and what better way to come directly from the both of you. So shout out to Vani. With the time I interviewed her, like it was, restrictions were still on in the part of China where she is. So, bless her heart. And now we're connected. I mean, like I said, it's just such an honor to have two strong, manawahine, two strong, Fijian, iTaukei writers on the show, because Vani also has a picture book. I also posted about that. So I'm just saying, fam, Amazon, you can purchase these books. We will also get the bio. In the bio, we'll get the contact. There's a Fiji contact through Lela's family who are also distributing there. So let's also get that in the bio. Click the link, go send an email, and we'll see how we can help you out there. Well, Lela the teacher.
I know. We wear so many hats. So at the end of the day, you're kind of like confused with all this energy.
Have you met other Fijians out? I've just met you and Vani. Well, not met in person, but this is kind of in person. But have you met any others out there?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have a very big Fijian IB community. They are teaching in Dubai. They're teaching in
no way, really?
In Dubai and what is this? Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
There's a big number of them in Abu Dhabi. I mean, I'll shout out to them too. Dee and the family in Vinaka. Wow. And also, we had a friend because of Alena Namoto. She's a principal in one of the school in Albania. That's why we came over to Albania from Mexico through her connection. So we're so grateful for Alena, and she's also IB educator. Right now they're in Dublin. They are attending. They are attending the IB workshop conference in Dublin.
Wow.
Yeah. So we are actually as Pacific Islanders. We are all over the world.
We're everywhere, fam. I think Lela's giving me hints. I think I am going to Estonia or Albania. I'm just kidding. I think that's where the calling is, apparently. Oh wow, I'm in awe. So I wanted to ask about, because I cannot wrap this up without talking about travel. Okay, so you were in Mexico, then you moved to Albania, now you're in Estonia. Languages that you've picked up along the way on your travels / educator life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as an educator, as an international educator, you are so blessed. You're so blessed, and again, I'm going to take a piece of Vani's advice. You are a visitor to that country. I mean,
Mm,
nobody forced you, nobody
yep.
forced you to teach in that country, but you came willingly. So it's been a wonderful cultural education. And we stayed. I don't know, Rosa, whether you know this, but we stayed in Mexico for 10 years. For 10
I
long.
think I'm going to Mexico next, guys.
We loved the place. I mean,
Mm,
I think in our experiences, Mexico will always have a special place in our hearts.
mm,
And it's not just the people, it's not just the food and everything. It's I think it's to do with the culture as a whole. And they're so warm. They're so warm. And we love the fact that we came to Albania. We just love the Mediterranean countryside. And
wow.
we didn't reach to Greece, so we were traveling to Greece, like cheaply. People
Oh,
think that we have a lot of money, but no, we love to travel cheaply. Like we
right.
go for cheaper deals, and so I leave it to my husband to do all that and logistics. I just take the camera and I take photos of everybody. And so it's been a wonderful experience being an educator, getting to visit all these places that you would never do if you were in Fiji, if you were in
Mm,
your homeland back in the Pacific. So, yeah, we are flying our Fijian, our Pacific flag high wherever
yes.
we go. But at the same time, we are enjoying the places over there. We got to learn Spanish,
Mm.
habla español, yeah, see.
Oh, wow.
So,
Bien. That's why I studied in university, didn't get that far, but bien.
yeah, yeah. So we knew a little bit because we stayed on it for 2 years in Albania. We knew a little bit, just like saying hi and bye
Mm.
and thank you for Menderi and all this kind of
Oh.
word. And now we're in Estonia, so we are envisioning to be here for longer because we'd
Mm.
like to stay here for further education, for our PhD.
Mm.
Husband wanted to do his master's, but it's still on the planning stage. But we
Mm.
we are going to look into that later. So we need to learn the language. We need to learn Estonian. Uh,
Yeah. Wow. Are you close to Russia? I'm just thinking
of
Estonia.
course, we are neighbors.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like the next tweet I see, you're gonna be crossing the border, or you'll be like gallivanting around Russia or something. I don't know. It was just
Rosa, I mean, I'd like to tell you because we have all already traveled to St. Petersburg while we were in Mexico.
oh,
We came through to Cuba. From Cuba, they have a direct flight to Russia. So we traveled to
what?
Moscow, to St. Petersburg before the war, the Ukrainian war. So
Wow.
we were in there and we loved Russia. I mean, we enjoyed the place. But now because
Mm.
of the war, I mean,
No
our
one's gallivanting around Russia but the military.
no,
That's right. Stay away from there.
sensitive now.
Oh.
Yeah, so and it's very interesting because about half of the population here in Estonia, they
Mm.
are Russian. So
Yeah, right. Because
yeah,
that's the US. If we think about the USSR, right, and then it just got broken down into
oh
like
yeah, yeah, because
Czech,
of yeah,
Slovakia.
yeah, and
Yeah,
also because of the occupation. During the occupation, they came to
yeah.
settle here, and they did not return to their homeland, so they are here. And as
Mm,
teachers, we handle Russian kids, we handle Estonian,
mm.
and we handle all these kind of things. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. But I think
Wow.
it's part of that repertoire, yeah, of your experience.
Yeah.
When you go back, we would like to go back to Fiji. Would like to retire back to Fiji. So I told my husband once we reach Fiji, no more traveling,
I'm locking the door, putting a lock on it, chain. You are not leaving. No one is leaving.
no more. Yeah.
Man. What if there what do you want to tell people about Estonia? Like why what can we expect if someone wanted to travel there? What would you recommend for avid travelers coming to Estonia?
Well, the traveling to Estonia, of course, you will have to expect cold. Okay, in the
Mm,
Baltic, in the Nordic country
Of
right now.
course.
Yeah,
Right,
right
right.
now it's cold. I don't know about in Japan whether it's warm or cold.
It's autumn, and can I tell you, my island body is crying because the summer's over, and the seasons here they change just like that. You blink
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, it's cold. It was like we're like in the 30s. Was it last week, or the week before? And now it's like 22 degrees, and my island body is like, no, we want the sun. But the days are warm in the middle, but then
Yeah.
morning and evening it's clearly
Yeah.
getting colder.
So I think I gather that in here, even though it's autumn, it's like cold for us Pacific Island,
Mm,
definitely. So
yes.
you do expect the cold, do expect the greens. I mean, now the leaves are falling, but the
Mm.
place is really green. I mean, they're so big,
Wow.
very big on green. Um, and all that, very advanced, I think they're like Japan, very advanced,
Mm,
digital place, a very structured place to, like any, even though it's a small town, it's a
mm,
historical city. But what we love about this place is that it's all connected and it's just filled with multi-ethnic people, like from
mm.
Africa, from India, from
Wow.
Asia. Yeah, so we see all kinds of people here. So,
Mm.
we felt sort of like at home, that we are
Oh,
not
that's cool.
the brownie. We
Yeah.
everybody here. Yeah.
That's so cool. That is, I wouldn't have expected that. So I wanted to ask, but it's really nice to hear that, it's a safe place and you feel at home there.
It's good.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask about self-care. This is a question I ask
Okay.
everyone, like health, wellness. As an educator, this is always the educators are like, I don't look after myself. But how, Lela, how do you take? I mean, we know you love to write, but what do you do downtime? What do you love to do besides writing?
Yeah, I love to read, of course. I love to read, but I think majority of my self-care, my wellness and everything has to do with the fact that we're Christians and we spend a lot of our time zeroing back to the Bible,
Mm,
like, at the end of the day, we have devotions with my husband, sort of like to calm our spirits.
mm,
And it's sort of like we live the day, even though it was kind of chaotic, we live the day on that day on a very good note, very positive note, very calm note. So for me, my self-care is my belief in the Bible, in the Word, and I try and read the Word of God,
mm,
the Bible a lot. So to feed on that, on the wisdom of the
mm,
words, and of course, I get some books that I love. I think the first place that I visit the airport are bookshops. When I
mm,
get to any city, I visit the bookshop. I'm like, okay, I need to stop this
mm.
because I cannot take all these books to the next location. I'm just wasting money here. I cannot help myself because I go to the bookshop and I just buy books and I read it. So in that way, you're taking care of yourself, but
Mm,
also like in here, it's a very good place to walk about, and that it will take care of our wellness. Our school is a very big fan on people going to the gym.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Maybe it's the winter. Maybe it's the winter gloom or winter doom. I don't know but they say, okay, all teachers need to go to the gym and we will sort of reimburse monthly. So we are looking now for a gym to
Wow.
help ourselves in
That's
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
think
cool.
so too.
I'm going to Estonia, everyone. I'm going to work at Lila's school to get free gym membership so I can go to the gym. Oh, Lila, when you were talking about, obviously faith, you're a woman of faith. I was wondering about Estonia. What's the main religion there? Is it the Orthodox? Is it Christian? Catholic?
I think they are Orthodox, quite a
Oh.
number here, Orthodox, but a lot of
Uh,
them are atheist.
really?
Yes, yes. A lot of
Oh.
them are atheist in this place. I mean, I came from Albania also. It's the same.
Hmm. As we begin to close down the show today, I have to ask, uh, come at me, Lila. Book recommendations. What do you have for us?
Yay! I have a number of books, but anyway, I this is where I write the stuff that I do. I
Oh.
scribble my thoughts in here. Book recommendation. I love I love these guys here. I mean, they were the ones. They were the first writers to sort of like they are Fiji in the Fijian. They are Fijian Subramani, and also
Mm.
we have Satendra Nandan. I want to say something about this man.
Please do.
He has been our, I would say, a mentor for
Mm.
me because I still remember when he took me for postgraduate literature. He is a poet and a short story writer and an essayist and all that. But what I want to say about him is he really, I think he's sort of like um, left something in us on that day. And I still remember that place in our classroom in I think it was in Fiji. I'm not quite sure in the institution, but he said, Kelera, there will be a time in your life that you need to do something about your people, about things that matter. Block
Mm.
out any noise, block out any distraction, and you need to do something. I need to write. So he was the man who went out there and says, if I can just inspire one or two students of mine to write, I've done my job. So this is the guy, Satendra Nandan. He's a hilarious man. He loves to joke around, and I really enjoyed him and his mentorship.
Mm.
Subramani is a wonderful scholar. He's a deep thinker, and he
Mm.
has really also. These are all Fijian names, right?
Mm.
Ratuchoni Manraiwiwi. I really, it's what a loss to Fiji because he has passed on, but
Mm.
what a loss. He is one of the finest mind in the Fijian. Um, he has a collection of speeches, a personal perspective. I love it. I actually Subramani, one of my lecturer told me, why don't you review his book? So I reviewed his book and I got in touch with him before he passed on. So it was such
Wow.
yeah, and also he was one of the foremost men in Fiji, foremost scholar, leadership in Fiji, Rusiate Nadakalo, a wonderful, wonderful writer. And who can forget about Epeli Hawofa?
Yes.
I bought this book from Fiji and I carried it from Mexico to Albania to
Estonia.
put this in the bin or somewhere or in the library because I need to take this book with me. We Are the Ocean.
Mm.
I love him because I just feel his humor. I feel his vision for the Pacific, but more so, Tales of the Tikong
Mm.
and Kisses in the Netherlands. He's a hilarious, hilarious writer.
Mm.
Uh, and I love Unai Sinambombamba's work because she is
Mm.
important. She's a Fijian lady, indigenous Fijian approach. She is a vice chancellor for Fiji National University for now, academic. What I love about Professor Una is that she wrote an indigenous Fijian approach, and this was an important. If anybody out there goes into indigenous Fijian research, they need to cite this book always. Just like
Mm.
Linda Tuhiwai Smith,
Mm.
yeah. So as a Fijian writer and researcher, I need to know her and I need to know her book, and she's very important in our Fijian academic circle. So love it, and also I love I teach him all the time. I mean, George Orwell, 1984,
Mm.
Animal Farm. I mean, he is a wonderful writer. And I love the fact that he was prophesying into the future. And that
Mm.
future is now. Please read 1984 if you know. And if you know Roald Dahl,
Mm.
Charlie and the Chocolate
Your
Factory,
factory.
I don't know about you, but he writes on dark themes and I was reading a lot of his works. I said, is this guy writing for children or what? So I was looking at a lot of his children's books. It's got like a lot of dark humor.
Mm.
But I love this guy. I mean, he's a very, very good writer. I don't know how many books out there, but
Carry on, keep going, you're fine.
things fall apart. I mean, if you're a Fiji student, you would know this book. I I carry this book around. Things fall apart. It's post-colonial text. Everybody needs to read this book because it matters. It's important. And Chimamanda, I don't know whether you know Chimamanda Adichie, the thing around their neck. I'm taking this book because it's more like a guru or a mentor for short stories. I mean, I love Mary Ravu's work as a short story writer. And she's been a Commonwealth
Yes.
winner. Yes, Commonwealth.
Yes.
She is important. She's very talented too, as well. I mean,
Yes.
she just came back from Illinois. I'm not sure about the name of her,
Amazing. Shout
but
out
yeah,
Mary.
writers workshop. So I think she will also be judging the Commonwealth competition. But Mary has been really, really reaching out to all of us who are like trying to write in the isolation. But yeah, she's talent. She's a lady full of talent.
Yes.
Chimamanda, lady filled with talents too, making waves in Africa. And
Yes.
shout out! I don't have their works, but I have their works here in the
Yes.
tablet. Lani Yang. I
Yes.
love Lani Yang's works. I mean, I told Lani all the time, I love your characters, and you have such a fabulous way of portraying women. The Scarlet, I think Scarlet
Yes,
series.
that's my favorite series. I've read that over, like I've read it, reread it, and I do not get sick of it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think she has a cute way of just portraying our pacificness, and
Mm,
I love it because I was just hooting off, and I was just laughing at some places where you have some Pacific humor. I'm sure the
right.
Palani will not get it, but me, I got it. I mean, as a Fijian, I got it. I said I can relate to this. So thank you, Lani. Please write some more.
Yeah.
Carlo Mila. Oh my goodness. Carlo Mila's works is beautiful, especially as a poet. Selena Tusitalamash, poetess. Beautiful writers. I mean, you just need to buy their works and you know why. And of course, we have some other writers, and also Hawaiian writers. I don't
Mm,
have their name, but Craig Santos Perez, Sia Figuel.
yes.
I read Sia Figuel's works, and it's very important. Girl in the Moon Circle. I read it so many years ago, but ever since then, we've been reading a lot and a lot of
Mm,
books, right? But I believe that we need to start from the Pacific and then moving out. But all these works are important, and I believe that whatever we do matter. Yeah.
I want to go back to that notebook that you put up and then quickly put down right at the beginning. Your notes where you write everything.
Oh,
Show us that notebook
yeah.
again. Tell us about
Yes.
your notebook.
This notebook. It's like all the kind of things I write in here. So this is where I write my
Wow.
can you see like all of the place?
Yes,
Yeah. So I
I think
write.
you need to glue it together. Like, I think you need to fix it or something. Get your stapler, glue stick, and
So this is where the magic happens. I never write
oh,
on the document. I have to write on the page. So all
mm,
this is all the things that I've been writing. It didn't
wow.
make it to my collection,
Mm,
but I these are things that are to come. So all my
mm.
poems and thoughts and everything goes into this book, and I've kept it religiously because a lot of the times when I write on the papers, it goes missing, and
You don't use your phone for notepad memo or your laptop or anything like that, no?
yeah, I do, but I really need to get in touch with technology. But I'm like an old school.
But your notebook's so pretty. I'm not even judging. No judgments from my end.
So what I do, I'm all the time. I go to a bookshop and I find something really nice.
Mm.
Um, oh, this is nice for journaling. I just go out there and
Yes,
randomly buy.
I do that too. I will go to a stationery store and find this really beautiful notebook pages. And then I'm like, I'm going to journal. And then a year later, I'll find that really beautiful notebook still. package not even opened up or anything, and I'm like, oh, I need to stop. I need to get a grip and stop this,
Exactly.
Rosa. Lela, thank you. As we wrap up, I just want to say thank you so much
Thank you.
for just coming through and sharing parts of your journey and the book, like just showing us that book and physically going, hey, look, this is my work I've put out there. And don't downplay it. She put out a book, everyone. She put out a collection. You should be loud and proud. And
Thank you.
I'm just really, there we go. There we go, fam. Buy the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful for this opportunity just to have you on here. And like I said, as an educator as well, I understand the busy life of a teacher,
Yeah.
let alone someone who writes. So I wish you all the best. I'm sure you've got autumn break or something coming up
Oh
soon.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm looking forward for travels
you see,
up to Finland.
See, I was waiting for her to spill the beans. I knew autumn break was coming. I want you to enjoy your autumn break. You and your husband, please take care out there. It has been such an honor to have you on the show. I'm looking forward to following your journey, waiting for that picture book, waiting for what is next, the short stories. Like, oh my gosh, this is just the beginning.
Yeah,
This
thank
is it.
you.
That's what I believe. And so, you know, lots of love and light and blessings coming your way. I want to hand it back over to you just to wrap up our show with some final words, some inspiration. I can't you tell I have been so inspired through this talanoa, through our chat. Wow. Over
Wow,
to you, Lela.
I'm also inspired by you, Rosa. I mean, you've been at this game of podcast. I don't like I don't like appearing on films or videos and being interviewed. But with this kind of like podcast, it's kind of like in a confined space. And yes, this is fine. But I want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for bringing out people, for bringing out personalities from all corners of the Pacific, yeah. And also, what you do matters. I believe that what we do matters as Pacific Islanders, and I really like the fact that you're bringing out all. Many of us Pacific writers, Kalamila, Laniang. I really like the fact that you're also adding more highlights to their work, because a lot of our works are done in isolations, and in a bit of networking like this, a bit of exposure really goes a long way. So I thank you for doing this consistently and putting it out there on YouTube for the Pacific viewers. So just in closing, I believe that we do what we do with a passion. At the end of the day, as a teacher, I wanted to share with you. This is what I do for my grade. I mean, I'm not doing this because I'm a Christian, but when the students go home, what I do is I take out like a wiper, and I just wipe their desk. This is the grade 6. We have cleaners. We have cleaners that come into the classroom, but I'm beginning to do this. I haven't done this at all in any of my teaching career, but I'm beginning to do this here because I want to see how it goes. So I kind of like wipe off their desk and I pray. I pray for my students and I pray for my environment and I pray for where I am, because I believe that we are there for a reason and we are there for a season. Just like you, Rosa, in Japan, we are here for a season, and whatever season we are in, we need to make that impact, create that impact, so that when you leave, people feel your absence. So wherever you go, you need to create that impact. I'm not going to be here forever here in the Baltic. I'm going to go back home one day. But I've done a bit of my networking in Fiji for 10 plus years. But I decided, okay, why don't I teach? And so this is also a shout out to teachers who would like to go into international teaching. Get into the game and apply for places, and you will see it. Everything in life, including this book, including teaching internationally, includes
Yes.
risk taking. Be a risk
Yes.
taker. And in IB, we're a big fan of IB. Be a risk taker, be a caring individual, be an inquirer, be a global citizen. We are no longer. I don't just see myself as Pacific. islander, global citizen, and there is a purpose for me in this world. And whatever I do it out of a space of love. And I'm gonna say that this again, the third, to put God first always in your life, and you will not go wrong. It'll be somewhere, someplace, and
Mm.
you will continue to take that torch and you light another ember and you light another flame, uh, for them to be very, very much an asset to their community wherever they are. So, Vinaka, Rosa, it's a pleasure being here.